Hello everyone and welcome back to another Growing with God video. Today, we're going to be answering the question, is God's love for humanity a myth? So, many people are beginning to think this because of all the problems that they are currently seeing within their own lives that God hasn't exactly solved. And these problems can include, not much money coming in as they might have wished, or not owning a house, seeing others doing better than themselves despite them not even serving God in the first place. But what I want to discuss in this video is the fact that this isn't happening because God isn't faithful, but is mainly actually because of the rise of education and technology, which is causing these new expectations to be placed on God, and people get disappointed when God does not meet these expectations that they place on him. So the way this works is that they pass through the education systems, and then they are able to witness the things that other people achieve through these systems, and they want these things for themselves as well, but they get disappointed when God doesn't exactly give it to them, even though God never promised these things in the first place. But this same thing actually happened in the Bible as well, something similar, during the time of Jesus Christ in Judea, when they were expecting something big from a Messiah, as we see in Luke chapter 3 verse 15. They were in expectation. What were they in expectation for? Someone who was rich, someone who had lots of power, someone who would deliver them from the Romans who were on top of them. And they were looking for, kind of physical deliverances like these. But that's not what the Messiah or Jesus Christ brought. Instead, he was bringing a spiritual deliverance. But my point is, just as it was in those days when people were looking for those things that God didn't exactly promise, these kinds of things are happening in our time as well. And false prophets are taking advantage of these lusts that people have to try to deceive people, telling them that, if you, just pray twice a day or confess that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, God will give you all these things in this world. You don't have to work for them. They'll just show up at your doorstep. That's, once again, not what God promised. So false pastors are using these people's lusts to deceive them. But the reason why God doesn't want to give us all these things of this world in the first place is, once again, not because he doesn't love us, but is because God understands that gaining this whole world isn't exactly the true meaning of life in the first place. Because God isn't the only one who's noticed this. Many other wise people in this world have seen this. But in the pursuit of having everything in this world, you begin to lose something and forget about God as well. And you even see this happening with King Nebuchadnezzar, who had everything, as we see in Daniel chapter 4, except for a relationship with God. And he was later punished for his pride and lack of acknowledgement for God in Daniel chapter 4. But even Jesus Christ said this exact same thing, that becoming like King Nebuchadnezzar, when you have the whole world and lose your own soul, is not exactly a very good trait to make. He said in Mark chapter 8 verse 36, "For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" And this was said by Jesus Christ because the things of this world do not last forever. As it was said in 1 John chapter 2 verses 15 to 17, that the world passes away, but it is only those who do the will of God that will abide forever. So thus, we shouldn't be too interested with the things of this world. But the bottom line I'm trying to, paint here is that God simply just doesn't want to fuel our lusts. That is why we don't have everything in this world. And it was in connection to this that the statement in James chapter 4 verse 3 was made, that God may actually decline some people's prayers because they're not praying for a better spiritual connection with God or praying for something that will actually benefit them, but instead they're just praying for something that will temporarily make them happy, like, that car that they saw somebody else have, or a new house, things like this that have absolutely no spiritual value. So the reality is, the reason why God isn't giving us everything in this world is because he actually does love us, not because he doesn't. But some people may also say, well, what about the major issues in this world that aren't being solved, like wars, natural disasters, sickness, and so on? Plus, they also see scientists making a huge effort to solve these issues, but God doesn't really seem to be doing anything in their eyes. But the reason why it seems so is because God's plan works on a slightly different formula from our plan. You see, God does actually have a way to solve problems if we simply just allow him solve the problem in the way those problems should actually be solved. For example, if humanity wants to, let's say, make war cease, it's not by going to the UN or meeting up with world leaders to discuss the war. That won't make war cease. That will just multiply it, because what you really need to do is go down to the reason why people fight, or the reason why one wants to take resources from another. That has to be resolved. That has to be defeated. And humans can't just do that by themselves, because it is a spiritual motif that is within them that is actually causing war to happen across the world. And God even said that he will solve the problem of war in Isaiah chapter 2, verse 4. So, you see, God can solve these problems if we allow him to, which is why it was said in Psalms chapter 146, verses 3 and 4, that we shouldn't trust in man, but instead trust in God, because he is the only one who can solve the issues that we see. Thus, God's love for humanity is not a myth. He still loves humanity very much. But anyway, I think I can stop here on answering this question: is God's love for humanity a myth? If you have enjoyed this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit those like and subscribe buttons down below, and also to hit that notification bell so you'll always know when a new Going with God video comes out. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.